I woke up that morning with my stomach twisting the way it had been for weeks. Morning sickness didn't care about clocks or kindness. It came whenever it wanted, and lately, it had been cruel. I lay still for a moment, one hand resting on my belly, breathing slowly, hoping the nausea would pass. That's when I heard movement in the kitchen. This alone was unusual. My husband, Daniel, was never up before me. He believed mornings were for coffee, silence, and getting out of the house as quickly as possible. For 5 years, our routine had never changed. I woke up first. I made breakfast. He grabbed his briefcase, kissed my cheek, and left. But that morning, the air smelled different. Butter, toast, something sweet. I sat up slowly, my heart thudding with confusion more than excitement. When I walked into the kitchen, Daniel was standing at the stove, sleeves rolled up. If this story touched your heart, let us know your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to our channel for more new stories. Humming softly under his breath. Plates were already set. Fresh fruit, eggs cooked just the way I liked them, even ginger tea, something my doctor had recommended for nausea. For a moment, I just stared. He turned and smiled, a wide, gentle smile I hadn't seen in a long time. "I thought you could use a good breakfast," he said. "You've been having a rough time." My throat tightened. This wasn't just care. This was attention. The kind that feels warm but unfamiliar, like wearing someone else's coat. I sat down slowly. "You didn't have to do all this." "I wanted to," he replied quickly, almost too quickly. "You're carrying our baby." There it was. The word baby still felt fragile, like glass. I smiled, but something inside me stayed alert. Pregnancy changes your body, but it also sharpens your instincts. I took a few bites, but my stomach turned again. The nausea came back stronger, forcing me to push the plate away. "I'm sorry," I said quietly. "I can't." Daniel's smile faltered for half a second before he hit it. "That's okay. Don't force yourself." I hated wasting food, especially after the effort he'd made. I wrapped the breakfast carefully and packed it into a container. I had to go to the office later that morning to drop off some documents, and an idea crossed my mind. "I'll give it to someone who can eat it," I said casually. "Who?" he asked, a little too fast. "My assistant, or maybe yours," I shrugged. "No point throwing it away." He nodded, but his eyes didn't leave the container. Something unreadable passed across his face. I told myself I was imagining it. Hormones, probably. An hour later, I was at Daniel's office. His personal secretary, Lily, sat at her desk, immaculate as always. Perfect hair. Perfect smile. She looked up when she saw me. "Oh, hi," she said warmly. "How are you feeling?" I handed her the container. "My husband made breakfast, but I couldn't eat it. Thought you might like it." Her eyes widened in surprise. "That's so sweet of him." Something about the way she said it made my chest tighten, but I ignored it. I chatted for a minute, then left, my head already pounding. I was halfway home when my phone rang. At first, there was only silence on the line. Then screaming. A raw, blood-curdling scream that froze my blood. I pulled the car over, heart racing. "Hello? Lily?" The scream cut off suddenly. The line went dead. I stared at my phone, hands shaking, my mind racing through every terrible possibility. Within minutes, Daniel called. His voice was tight. Controlled. Too controlled. "You need to come back to the office," he said. Now. When I arrived, the building was chaos. People whispered in corners. Someone was crying. Lily was gone. An ambulance had just left. Daniel stood near his office door, pale, avoiding my eyes. "What happened?" I asked, my voice barely steady. He swallowed. Lily collapsed. Severe allergic reaction. My heart skipped. Allergic to what? His silence was answer enough. A cold realization washed over me as my hand instinctively went back to my stomach. The breakfast. The care. The sudden kindness. That night, lying awake in bed beside him, listening to his steady breathing, one thought echoed over and over in my mind. That breakfast was never meant for me. I didn't sleep that night. I lay beside Daniel, staring at the ceiling, listening to his calm, steady breathing while my thoughts ran wild. Every detail of the day replayed in my mind like a loop I couldn't shut off. His sudden kindness. The way he watched the food container. Lily's scream. The ambulance. And his silence. In the morning, Daniel acted as if nothing had happened. He got dressed quietly, straightened his tie, and kissed my forehead before leaving for work. His touch felt practiced, automatic. Not warm. Not real. Get some rest, he said. Doctor said stress isn't good for the baby. I nodded, forcing a smile. The moment the door closed, I broke down. I wasn't imagining things anymore. Something was wrong, and deep down, I knew it had been wrong for a long time. Pregnancy didn't create this fear. It only stripped away my ability to ignore it. Later that day, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. It was short. Just 6 words. We need to talk. Please. My heart raced. I stared at the screen for a long moment before replying. Who is this? A few seconds passed. It's Lily. My hands went cold. I didn't respond right away. Part of me wondered if this was a mistake or worse, a trap. But curiosity and fear pushed me forward. Are you okay? I typed. Yes. Barely. But I need to see you. Alone. We agreed to meet at a small cafe across town, far from Daniel's office. When I arrived, Lily was already there, sitting in the corner booth. She looked different. Pale. Fragile. Nothing like the polished woman I was used to seeing behind the desk. She looked up when she saw me, and her eyes filled with tears. I'm so sorry, she said before I could speak. I didn't know. Didn't know what? I asked, my voice tight. She took a shaky breath. That it wasn't meant for me. My chest tightened. What do you mean? She leaned closer, lowering her voice. The breakfast. Daniel told me it was a gift. He said you wanted me to have it. My heart pounded. He said that. She nodded slowly. But when I collapsed, the doctors said it was poison. A small dose. Carefully measured. The world tilted. Poison? I whispered. Yes, she said. Enough to kill someone with my condition. Severe allergies. He knew about them. I told him months ago. I felt sick. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Because when I woke up in the hospital, Lily said, her voice breaking, Daniel came to see me. He didn't look worried. He looked angry. That word echoed in my head. Angry. He told me to forget everything, she continued. He said if I talked, it would destroy lives. Including yours. A chill ran through me. Why mine? Lily hesitated. Then she placed her hand gently over my belly. Because he thought you ate it. The room spun. I grabbed the edge of the table to steady myself. He didn't know you gave it to me, she went on. That's why he panicked when I screamed. That's why he's been so careful since. I left the cafe shaking, my mind screaming with questions I wasn't ready to answer. The man I slept beside every night wasn't just hiding something. He was dangerous. That evening, Daniel came home with flowers. My favorite kind. For you, he said softly. Just because. I smiled. I thanked him. I played my role perfectly. But inside, a decision had already been made. I was no longer trying to understand him. I was trying to survive. That night, I lay awake listening to Daniel breathe beside me, counting every inhale, every exhale. I wondered how many nights I had slept peacefully next to a man who was capable of planning someone's death with the same calm precision he used to plan business meetings. The thought made my skin crawl. In the morning, I began to notice everything. The way he watched what I ate. The way he asked subtle questions about my doctor's visits. The way his hand lingered on my back, not lovingly, but as if he were studying something that might slip out of his control. I played my part carefully. I complained about nausea. I said the baby made me tired. I acted weak, dependent, grateful. Inside, I was building walls. I called my doctor and asked for a private appointment. When I told her I felt unsafe at home, her expression changed immediately. She didn't ask many questions. She didn't need to. "We can document everything," she said quietly. "But you need proof." Proof. That word followed me everywhere. A few days later, Lily called me again. Her voice was steadier now, but the fear was still there. "He's watching me," she said. "I can feel it." "Did he contact you?" I asked. "No," she replied. Which is worse. Silence from him means planning. That same evening, Daniel surprised me again. He suggested a short trip. Just the two of us. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere private. "For us," he said. "Before the baby comes." Every instinct in my body screamed no. But I smiled. That sounds nice. We drove out of the city the next morning, heading toward a secluded rental house near the coast. The farther we went, the weaker my phone signal became. Daniel noticed. I saw satisfaction flicker across his face before he hit it. The house was beautiful. Too beautiful. Isolated. No neighbors in sight. Inside, he unpacked groceries he had already prepared. Fresh ingredients. Clean labels. No mistakes. That night, he cooked again. I watched him from the doorway, my heart pounding. He moved confidently, comfortably. This wasn't new to him. This was practice. When he placed the plate in front of me, I felt my throat close. "Eat," he said gently. "You need strength." I forced myself to take a small bite, just enough to seem normal. Then another. My mind raced, calculating, measuring risk. Minutes passed. Nothing happened. Relief washed over his face. That's when I knew. He hadn't poisoned this meal. He was testing me. Later, when he fell asleep, I quietly searched his bag. Hidden beneath folded shirts, I found a small vial. Clear liquid. No label. My hands shook as I took photos with my phone, my breath barely audible. The next morning, I told him I wanted to take a walk alone. He hesitated, then agreed, reminding me to stay close. I didn't. I walked until I found a signal and called Lily. My voice broke as I told her everything. "You need to leave," she said urgently. "He's escalating." Before I could respond, I heard footsteps behind me. Daniel stood there, smiling. "Who were you talking to?" he asked softly. I froze. "No one," I lied. He stepped closer. Too close. "You don't have to lie to me." In that moment, I realized something terrifying. He wasn't angry anymore. He was calm. And calm was worse. Calm people don't make mistakes. That thought echoed in my mind as Daniel walked back toward the house, his hand lightly guiding my elbow as if we were a loving couple on a peaceful vacation. Inside, I was screaming. Every nerve in my body was alert, every instinct begging me to run. But I didn't. I knew now that running too early would be deadly. That night, I pretended to sleep. I matched my breathing to his, slow and even, while my mind stayed sharp. Around midnight, I felt him move. Gently. Carefully. He slipped out of bed without a sound. I waited. Minutes later, I followed. I stayed in the shadows of the hallway as I watched him in the kitchen, standing under the dim light. He held the vial in his hand, the same one I had photographed. He unscrewed the cap and poured a few drops into a glass of water, measuring like a professional. My heart pounded so hard, I was afraid he'd hear it. This time, there was no testing. This time, it was for me. I stepped back silently and returned to the bedroom before he could turn around. When he came in, he placed the glass on the nightstand. For later, he whispered, "In case you feel sick." I nodded weakly. He lay down beside me, confident, certain. He fell asleep quickly. I waited until his breathing deepened before acting. With shaking hands, I swapped the glass with another from the bathroom sink. I poured the poisoned water down the drain, watching it disappear like all my illusions about the man I married. At sunrise, I told him I needed fresh air. I told him I felt faint. He watched me closely, suspicion flickering in his eyes. "I'll drive you back," he said. "No," I replied softly. "I want to walk." For a moment, I thought he'd refuse. But then he smiled again. That calm smile. "All right," he said. "Be careful." That was his mistake. As soon as I reached the road, I flagged down a passing car. A woman stopped. One look at my face was enough. She drove me straight to the nearest police station. I handed them everything. The photos, the messages, Lily's medical report, my doctor's documentation. The officers listened in silence. By the time Daniel realized I wasn't coming back, it was too late. They arrested him that afternoon. He didn't fight. He didn't deny it. He just looked at me across the room, his calm finally cracking. "I did it for us," he said quietly. "You were getting in the way." Those words stayed with me longer than the fear ever did. Weeks later, Lily testified. The poison was traced. The plan unraveled. Every careful step he thought was perfect became evidence against him. I moved away. I started over. Some nights, I still wake up with my hand on my belly, reminding myself that we survived. That intuition saved us. That love should never feel like danger. And when my child was born, I held them close and whispered the truth I had learned too late, but would never forget. Sometimes, the person who says they love you the most is the one you must escape to stay alive. If this story touched your heart, let us know your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to our channel for more new stories.